This is the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, episode 188, and today we're going to be breaking down 2026 goal setting. So make sure you stick around for the episode. We're going to be talking about SMART goals, 10X goals, and one of the tools that I help track my progress and my goals for the entire year. So if you haven't listened to this podcast before, this is the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, and my name is Chris Rickenbaugh. I am documenting my journey in real estate and business and also bringing on high-level investors to share their stories and how they built their businesses. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok to follow along on my journey at chris.rickenbaugh. That's chris.reichen.bach. And wherever you're listening to today's episode, leave us a like, rating, and review, and please share it because that is the only way we can grow our audience and reach more people to help them achieve their goals no matter what they're doing. So let's hop into today's episode. So 2026 goals, we are going to be, personally, we are going through a pretty big shift right now, and I'm going to be super excited to share what that is and what's going on and what we're doing here in hopefully a few weeks. So make sure you tune in for that because it's going to be a huge pivot in our business, and I'm going to be super excited to share once we have that officially ready to talk about. So make sure you tune in for it, and we are still chugging along on the real estate side. We have 3 projects going on, 2 that are kind of on hold right now, and 1 that is officially, getting underway. We're in about week 1 or 2 with the progress. So last week was Thanksgiving, so it's been a little bit of a wait. Not too much going on last week, but the other projects, we're dealing with permits, and that'll be slowing down our project a little bit on one. And then once that first project is complete and refinanced out of, we're going to be rolling that into the other project to be able to get that one complete and on the market early 2026. But I wanted to talk about 2026 goal setting because this is the perfect time of the year to do this. With about an entire month left, I'm recording this on December 3rd. So one thing that I took away, I can't remember what book or what podcast it was, but they said they do their goals right at the end of November and early December because it almost gives them another month to be able to achieve their goals. So instead of working with 12 months and doing it right at the end of the year or on January 1st, they get an entire extra month to be able to game plan and get started on their 2026 goals. And I absolutely love that. So that's something that I'm implementing for myself. And I wanted to break kind of how we do that and the best way to be able to go about setting goals. So many of you heard of probably SMART goals and 10X goals. So SMART goals, for those who don't know, are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So those are very, very popular because you can get very granular and down to the detail on figuring out what that goal is and how you're going to achieve it. So something I like, and I think kind of goes hand in hand with that, is 10X goals. So I want to talk about how you can factor in both of these and how they kind of work together. Because SMART goals, I think when you're tracking the day-to-day and what you can be doing every single day, those are SMART goals where, it's something that is attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Those are going to be the 2 biggest parts of that. And they're also going to be specific and measurable. So the specific and measurable part, you're able to say, hey, I want to be able to buy 10 houses this year. So that's specific and measurable because you're going to be able to do it. Now, attainable, if you bought 8 houses last year, that's going to be an attainable goal because you're only bumping it up 2. You're not doing anything really different because, you're still doing the same exact thing. In relevancy, you're still buying houses, and then time bound. So what you would add to that is I want to buy 10 houses within the year of 2026. So that's specific and, fits the SMART goals exactly, it fits it perfectly is what I'm trying to say. So What I like to do, and one of the books that I read was 10x is easier than 2x. And for me, this makes a lot more sense. So for what I did over the past year, and what my goals for 2025 was to do 50 houses. So 50 is a lot of deals, and real estate was really hard this year. So we had a lot of different things come up in our business, so we definitely didn't get anywhere near those 50 deals. But what it does is it really changes the mindset towards, the bigger goal. So, that's 50 deals probably wasn't realistic or attainable, but what it did was it helped me really change everything that I was doing to be able to build the systems to be able to go get 50 deals. And that's what really helped me, because now if I'm shooting for 50 goals and I end up buying 15 houses instead of 10, that's going to put me way ahead of the mark of where I'm just bumping up 2 houses every year. And that was something that was really working there in the beginning of the year before it hit the fan. And I truthfully like the 10x goals, but I want to talk about how you can factor in both of these. So for the 10x goals, I think it's a really good point to start there. And I talked about this on the last podcast on 187, was determining what your perfect day looks like, because that is going to be able to help you find the destination of where you want to go. So that's a great place to be able to start for goal setting. So how does the 10x goals factor into this? So let's say you flipped 8 houses this year, and let's just say you try to 10x that. Are you really going to go from 8 houses to 80? It's very, very unlikely, but it's not impossible. So what you would do is, and what the whole point of the 10x goals is, it's to change your mindset to where, hey, if I'm trying to go buy 80 houses, what I'm doing to buy 8 is not going to work. So I need to change my systems, change my processes to be able to have the capacity in the business to be able to go do 80 deals. Because let's say you miss by, let's just say 80%, and you end up buying 16 houses that year. That's going to do way more than what you're doing on just trying to buy 10. It's going to put you ahead of the mark. You're going to have better systems, better processes, and you're going to be able to achieve way more. That's why I like it. So it's not so much achieving the 10x goal, it's trying to shift your mindset and shift your systems to be able to handle that capacity. So being able to work on these together. So the 10x goals, you would have to change your systems and what you're doing on how to be able to achieve that, and then you can factor your SMART goals into that. So if you're doing all the cold calling yourself, you're probably going to have to hire cold callers. You're probably going to have to do a lot more direct mail, and then you're going to have to build the system to where that is happening without your involvement in it, or very little involvement. And Dan Martell likes to talk about the 10-80-10. So you do the 10% up front, which is a lot of the training. You let somebody else do 80% of the work, which is the cold calling, which filters down into the really hot leads and real estate version of you doing the closing and being able to hop on with a very motivated seller and being able to discuss terms. So being able to factor in all of that and building your systems, you're going to be able to have SMART goals that factor into that. So one of the things could be is you hire a cold caller, you hire an assistant to be able to start setting up those systems and processes. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more hands-on up front, but that's going to give you the capacity to be able to go after those 10x goals. And so like I was saying, the 10x goal is for that future vision and systems, and then the SMART goals is more for the tactical day-to-day. So one of the books that I really liked reading that helped me change my mindset and track this is the 12-week year. So what the 12-week year is, it breaks it down into these not quarters, because it doesn't like being able to track it that way, because what you're doing in quarters is you have this year-long goal and you chunk it down into the quarters, so in 4 parts. So what the 12-week year is, you take that year-long goal and you condense it down to 12 weeks. And by doing this, you're able to go and achieve everything you would in a year, or get very, very close to it. So it's just ramping up the productivity, because now you're going to have to focus on the things that are actually going to be, producing for you and making money. And it's going to be able to help track it down into the consistency, because it's going to break it down. You're going to have a percentage each week based on what you've done. So you're going to be able to see exactly what you're doing and what you need to be doing more of. And what I mean by that is, if you say you're going to be walking 10 houses per week and you only walk 8, that's going to give you an 80% score in that area. And then all of that tracks down, whether it's business goals, real estate, or personal. You can put all of that in there and you get a score at the end of the week. And you're showing on your dashboard and, typing it in, you're going to be able to have that instant feedback of, did I do this or did I not do this? And then at the end of that 12-week year, you're able to take a week in between and reset the goals. So it's not like you're trying to do this year-long goal and break it down into quarters. You're taking that year-long goal and you're condensing it down into 12 weeks. And that's going to be way more productive than what you're trying to do in the quarters going after that year-long goal. But to get started on any of this, like I was saying earlier, and like I said on the last episode, you need to determine your destination. So you're asking yourself these 2 questions of where you are right now and where you're trying to go. If you're focusing on the bigger picture, it's going to help guide the how-to and the day-to-day for you, and how you can, blend all of this together. On a closing note here, it's best to start out with that perfect day and where you want to go. That gives you the destination, and then you factor in where you are right now. Let's just say you're doing 8 deals a year buying real estate. And then factor in your 10x goals. Say, in this next year, how would I buy 80 houses? Factor in those systems, factor in those processes, because it's going to be completely different. And then work in the SMART goals to be able to go and achieve that. It's not going to be achieved in the first 3 months. It's going to take a little bit of time. However, you're giving yourself that goal and that destination, and you're building the systems to be able to do a lot more. And that's the main part of it. And then how you're tracking your SMART goals is by using that 12-week year formula, which I highly recommend you reading the book. So all of that to close, let me know in the comments what your 2026 goals are, how you're achieving those, and be able to track it throughout the year. The best way to do that is on Instagram. Share your stories, share your spreadsheets on what your percentages are every single week, so that other people can help keep you accountable. Because if you're sharing your goals, you're going to be able to, network with the people who are attracted to those goals themselves, who are going after those things. You're going to be able to connect and collaborate and hold each other accountable to be able to grow together. So that is the best way to share your goals. But as for this podcast, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Leadway Wealth Builders podcast. This is Chris Rickenbaugh signing off.